Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be creating a new flower border and I'll be planting hydrangeas, grasses and some allium bulbs in it. So let's take a look. So looking from up here, the garden bed is going to stretch from the point where you see the flower pots and it's going to go right to the other end where we have the grasses currently. So it's going to occupy the entire space there. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to prepare the area and remove anything that might be in the way of the flower bed. The next thing I'm going to do is to check that my cardboard doesn't have any plastic material attached to it. So now the next thing to do would be to lay down the cardboard and make sure that the pieces overlap by a few centimeters. Looking from up here, you can see that the cardboard covers the whole area where we have grass growing, and that's the area in which we're going to be putting the compost. What is going to happen is that the cardboard will decompose completely, and that will provide a good environment for earthworms to come in and further enhance the quality of the soil by feeding on the microorganisms. So it took a couple of wheelbarrows, but I now have my soil in. I'm using compost, and that means that I'm ready to plant right away. So I'm thinking about using hydrangeas, and in that particular corner, I'm going to be putting in a pampas grass. The rest of the bed is going to be a combination of Limelight hydrangeas, Annabelle hydrangeas, and some small grasses. With the pampas grass now in place, and by the way, I think it looks fantastic in that corner, I'm going to be turning on to the rest of the bed. I have my limelights here that I collected from my balcony. I'm going to go ahead and position the plants in the garden bed, spacing the plants apart about 60 centimeters. So the lime lights are now in position, and as you can see on the other side, I already have the Annabelle hydrangeas planted. Right now, I'm going to be putting in this bird bath, and that will be in the middle of the flower bed. We're going to have the lime lights on the right side, and on the left side, we'll be having the Annabelle hydrangeas. So I initially considered putting the tall planter in which I currently have the grasses. But the project went on many days, and I had the time to really think about if that would be the right fit for this space. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought it might not be the right one to use. So I had this birth bath already in my front door, and I think it's a much better piece to put in this garden bed, and it's going to make the whole garden bed look really interesting. So I'm going to go ahead now and just install it. I'm doing basics like just opening the space, putting in 2 blocks, and then just standing the birth bath on it. This is really beautiful. I really like it. I love it. I think it's the perfect fit for that space. Imagine this with the Annabelle hydrangeas blooming on the left side and the limelights blooming on the right side. I think this will look fantastic. Look at the detail on that birth bath. It's just the perfect size. So I really can't wait to see this bed come to life and how everything is blending together. So I need to take advantage of this good weather today and plant up these limelights. So it is winter, and the key to planting at this time of the year is to really avoid any air pockets between the root ball of the plants and the holes in which the plants are going to be placed in. Plus, I'm working with a time period. I know that the next snow and frost is a couple of days away, and I'm also using plants that are very hardy. These hydrangeas can withstand weather conditions that may go until minus 20 degrees as per what is written on the tag of the plants. So I'm very conscious of all of that, and I'm taking all of that into consideration as I plant up this garden bed in the winter period, which is not the best time of the year to be planting anything at all. So I have my plants in, and I've used, and for the hydrangeas, I've used a fertilizer that would take really, really long to dissolve in the soil. And I'm going to be tucking in the plants now, making sure to avoid any air pocket between the root ball and the soil in which the plants are settled in. So both the Limelight and the Annabelle hydrangeas are hydrangeas that bloom on new wood. So when I'm done, I can easily go in and prune all the dead stems, as well as cut down some of the tall stems. And all these plants, all the hydrangeas that I plant here should be able to grow new wood in the new season and also bloom. So that is what we should be expecting. With all the hydrangeas now planted, I'm going to go ahead and start focusing on the grasses and the small bulbs that I intend to use in this garden bed as well. So I chose this grass because it's going to grow compact and it's going to remain rather on the smaller side. It's a red bronzita, and I really look forward to seeing how it turns out when the new season begins. It's going to bring a good contrast to the border by adding in some foliage and volume in the time when the hydrangeas are still small. So in addition to the red bronzita grass, I'm going to be using these small allium plants that I think would be a really good addition to the border. I really love that deep blue color that they show on the package, and I think if they come out like that, they'll provide a really nice pop of color to the border at the beginning of the season, because they'll start blooming sometime between May and June, and the hydrangeas will only start blooming in June. So I think they'll be a good addition, and I'm going to be planting them between the grasses. So I have the small allium bulbs in, and the hydrangeas are also well planted. Now I'm going to go ahead and plant the grasses. But before I do that, I'm going to be tying them in bundles to provide a much robust structure to the little plants, so that they can take the weight of the snow much better. So I'm going to be using this organic fabric. I'm just going to be tying these little bundles, and that will help them to not get squashed by the snow, because it's still going to snow. We are in winter and we expect snow next week latest. So I think this will help a lot to help these little plants survive the winter. To plant them, I'm going to be using a little bit of humus, seedling soil, because they're quite small. And I'll just be adding that in the holes in which I'm going to be planting them, and that will help them better settle in. And here as well, I'm going to make sure to avoid any risk of air pockets being created between the root ball of the plants and the soil or the holes in which they are placed in. Now, I think all this is looking really nice. I'm really happy with how everything is turning out. The only thing left to do now is to mulch. And for that, I'm going to be using some wood chips. I'm not going to be pruning right away. I just want to wait a little bit until spring arrives before pruning. So I ordered some wood chips, and they were dropped in front of in the driveway this morning. I'm going to be just transporting them with the wheelbarrow to the flower border, dropping them in there, distributing them nicely in the border, and that will complete the process. The care of the hydrangeas is going to happen in spring. I just want to wait a little bit and have the plants settle in. However, Both the Annabelle hydrangea and the Limelight hydrangea bloom on new wood, so we can prune them in winter. This pretty much completes the process of creating this garden bed. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in our next video. Bye bye.